Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Choices Finding Your Joy. And oh my gosh, I have found my joy. I have so enjoyed listening to today's guest, Patrick Quillin. He is an internationally recognized expert in the area of nutrition and cancer. And last week's show was absolutely amazing. And he is honoring me with another episode today in which he's going to discuss what we're all talking about right now, the coronavirus. So I'm really excited to hear your information on that. And I do want to mention to anyone that hasn't seen his first show, he talked about his book, The 12 Keys to a Healthier Cancer Patient, which I absolutely loved. I think it's a must read if you want to know about nutrition, health in general. It's fantastic. So first off, welcome, Patrick. Welcome.
Thank you, Paula. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for sharing your viewers.
Oh, I'm just so excited to share you with my viewers and honored to have all those viewers that are watching us today. So, Patrick, jump on in. If you want to share a couple minutes of your background for those that have not seen your previous show, feel free to do that. And I'm so excited to hear what you have to say about the coronavirus.
Wonderful. Be glad to. And I guess this is establishing some credibility. So I'm not boasting as much as I'm introducing myself as a keynote speaker, which has happened many times. So let me give you some of my background. I've earned my bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees in nutrition. I'm a registered dietitian, a certified nutrition specialist. I've taught college nutrition for 9 years. My 18 books have sold over 2 million copies, and they include the new book, which is called 12 Keys to a Healthier Cancer Patient. For 10 years, I was vice president of nutrition for Cancer Treatment Centers of America, where I had the privilege of organizing 3 international symposia on adjuvant or helpful nutrition in cancer treatment, and which spawned a textbook by the same name. And so I've been very blessed to work in hospitals, clinics, universities, and help people with the whole concept. Well, I might add in here, I was a consultant to the National Institutes of Health, the U.S. Army Breast Cancer Research Project. I earned a investigational new drug number from the Food and Drug Administration to study bovine cartilage in cancer patients. So forgive me for boasting, but I'm establishing some credibility so you can hopefully embrace what I have to say. I've read thousands of studies, hundreds of textbooks. I've worked with thousands of patients. And what you're going to hear in the next few minutes, consider it concise, informative, authoritative, and accurate. And what we're going to do is hopefully allay your fears and give you some reasonable game plan so that you can address this coronavirus situation that seems to be sweeping the world. So my background is there. Now, let's talk about the coronavirus, and then we can dive into details. The worst epidemic that ever hit the planet Earth was the Black Plague, the bubonic plague, which from 1347 to 1351, in a 4-year period, killed somewhere between 70 and 200 million people, mostly in Europe and Asia, and it killed probably a third of the people there. Remember, 2/3 survived, but it was an awful thing, and the stage was set through the Crusades, in which you had people migrating from around the world, farmers who had been drafted. Everybody's sick, everybody's depressed. The same thing happened with the Spanish flu virus, which happened at the end of World War I, in which case about 20 million people died. Now let's set the stage for the normal flu in America. On any given year, average of about 17,000 Americans die from the flu. The number ranges from about 12,000 to 70,000. So a flu epidemic, 70,000 Americans will die from the flu. Now let's look at the coronavirus. There have been a total of 100,000 cases diagnosed around the world, around 3,000 deaths, and almost all of those, literally 90% of them, are in China. And so what we have in the US is now about 500 diagnosed cases and about 20 deaths, and almost universally It's in people who are in a retirement home, assisted living facility, and they have a very compromised immune system. So in other words, no young people have died from it. If you have a decent, intact immune system, don't worry. And what the government has basically said is if you're 95 and you're on oxygen and you just got out of an assisted living, maybe you should postpone that cruise for a little bit. Those are the people who are at risk. So I've shared with you some numbers to keep this in perspective. And the rest of the time, Paula, I'm hoping you and I can spend time on empowerment. My whole message is about empowering people. So here's a very important soundbite. A healthy human body is self-regulating and self-repairing. And what that says is when we are healthy, our body will find and destroy invaders, such as the coronavirus. We have about 37 trillion cells in an adult body, and almost 20 trillion of those cells are immune warriors. And their job is to recognize self from non-self. That means they go out and they find bacteria, fungus, virus, anything that's not you, and destroy it. And they do a very efficient job. And if we're diligent at supporting our immune system, and that's where we're going for the next few minutes, then we stay healthy for the better part of 80 to 100 years and hopefully die in our sleep after a wonderful family reunion. That's where we can go if we nourish our immune system and our body properly. I'll toss the ball back to you, Paula.
Excellent, excellent. So what I am understanding, Patrick, is, with the coronavirus, like any virus or the flu, just really, really take care of our immune system and strengthen
Absolutely.
our immune system really is the greatest battle we can put out there. Is
Let's
that
talk
correct?
about some basics. First of all, the only way you're going to get the coronavirus is if either A, someone who has it sneezes in your face, in which case you breathe in the virus, or B, if someone who had it sneezed on a surface and that virus was left there and you went over and touched it and then you put it up to your own face. So in other words, the only way you're going to get the coronavirus is if you inoculate yourself. And what they say is the average adult puts their hands to their face about 20 times a day. So you go out and you push the shopping cart from the grocery store, and hundreds of people have handled that. You go out and you fill up the gas in your car. Hundreds of people have handled that gas pump. You handle money. It's got hundreds of people have handled that, whatever. And then you take those hands that now are full of viruses and you put it up to your face. The only way you're going to get the coronavirus is if you inoculate yourself. So step one, wash your hands often. Keep your hands away from your face, because essentially we have to do it to ourselves. Step two, get well rested. What we find is fatigue, exhaustion, not enough sleep is the beginnings of a collapsed immune system. And in the field of sleep deprivation, researchers have done some extraordinary work where they take healthy college students who normally, let's say, get 8 hours of sleep a night, and they deprive them of 3 hours of sleep. So now they're only getting 5 hours of sleep. And literally within days, they have a collapse of their immune system. They have an increase in inflammation in the body. They have C-reactive protein. There's all sorts of measurable parameters that decline just by taking away 3 hours of sleep from a healthy night. So get a good night's rest. Don't inoculate yourself. Keep your hands away from your face. Wash your hands regularly. The next thing is water intake. So what we have is the lungs are sort of a weak link. It's an Achilles heel. If we look at the most common causes of death around the world, number one is heart disease, closely followed by cancer, closely followed by diabetes, and then you have chronic kidney disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, pneumonia, lung infections. And what happens is we're breathing in about a pint of air per breathful, and that's about 12,000 pints per day. And all of that air contains some virus, bacteria, and fungus. Even if you have a filter system in your office, it has some infectious organisms. But what happens is the body protects itself with mucus. And so the lungs make a mucus, which is 99% water, And that's why I sip water much of the time throughout the day. So 99% of that mucus is water. And what it does is it constantly washes your lungs and it cleanses them of this virus. And it uses natural killer cells, antibodies, and other immune factors to destroy the virus. So the beginning of your immune system is water. And many people are chronically dehydrated. So think of the windshield wipers that you have in your car. It's a rainy, foggy, slushy day. And what you're doing is you're trying to clean the windshield and you use your windshield wiper fluid. And that fluid helps you to be able to see better. And the same thing is happening in your lungs with mucus, which is 99% water, and it's washing away the virus, so make sure that it won't infect you. So some basics: hygiene, wash your hands, do not touch your face, make sure you get plenty of rest, plenty of water. And then we're going to start talking about nutrition. I'm going to toss the ball back to you, Paula.
Yes. Well, I do have to ask a quick question because I'm really intrigued. What is it about our face, Patrick? What is it about touching our face? Is it thin skin? Why is our face such a taking that virus area?
I think, well, what's happening is literally when people put their hands near their nose or their mouth, the virus that you have on your hands now, you're breathing it in. So forgive the grossness here, but you just touched the gas pump handle, you filled up your car. Now you get in the car and you say, my nose itches a little bit. So you scratch right around your nose. You just took all the viruses from that gas handle pump and you inoculated your nose, and now you can breathe those viruses into your lungs. So for many people, touching your face, nose is a nervous habit, a tic that people do often. But what we need to realize is that it is an unsanitary, unhygienic habit. So if you can follow those first 3 basic rules I said, you're going to die from heart disease or cancer. I guarantee you, not from the coronavirus. So I'm encouraging people, get out and enjoy life. And I guess with a little bit of dark humor, Paula, the good news is that because people have become paranoid of this coronavirus, airfare and fares aboard cruise ships has plummeted. If you've ever had an inkling that you want to go someplace exotic or you want to get on a cruise ship, now is the time. The prices have been cut about in half.
Yeah, it's amazing what's going on, and the stock market, everything. It's amazing. So, Patrick, what can we do on the nutrition end of it to boost our immune system and help us ward off this and other viruses?
Now let's talk. I mentioned about 37 trillion cells in the average adult body, of which about 20 trillion cells are immune warriors, and their job is to recognize self from non-self. Anything that's not you gets destroyed and eliminated from the body. And this is an extraordinary job if you think about it. How does the body tell the difference between a muscle cell and a nerve cell and a skin cell and a bone cell? And it's all you, but as soon as one of those things mutates, or if you invite, let's say you have a food allergy, you have an allergy to wheat, and so you ate some wheat and some of that gluten or gliadin leaks into your bloodstream, and now the immune system attacks it like it was a bacteria. Now you've got an immune reaction or an autoimmune disease possibly. The job of the immune system is exquisite, it's elaborate, it's unbelievably complicated, but it works 99.9% of the time if we do our job. Now, I just mentioned a couple of simple concepts. Now let's talk about nutrition. What we find is the bulk of the immune system is built from, repaired by, fueled by, and replaced by what you eat. So for instance, third world countries, what has been found is that one of the most common causes of blindness around the world is a vitamin A deficiency. Vitamin A, beta carotene. You get vitamin A in egg yolks, in liver from animals, but in plant food, you get it from green and orange fruits and vegetables, beta carotene. But what many people in third world countries do not consume enough of this, and 500,000 children a year go blind from beta carotene deficiency. So what they found is that when they would give these children just a high dose of beta carotene, injection, a pill, whatever it took, they not only didn't go blind, but they didn't get sick. And what you find is that beta carotene is one of 50 essential nutrients in the human body that are required for health. So we could look at the 9 essential amino acids. We could look at the vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, omega-3, omega-6. We could look at all the things that are essential in the human body. And I ask you the question, Paula, what's the most important part of a car? What's the answer?
All of it, really, because it
There you
works
go.
together.
Very good. If, a lot of people will say, well, the motor, all right, I'll give you a motor. Can you drive it home? No. All right, how about transmission? You need that too. How about tires? You need that too. What if I have a car that's completely intact? It's a beautiful brand new car. However, the car was left out in a freezing rain and I can't get into it because the locks are frozen. I still can't drive it. And the important issue is every part of that car is important. Every part of your body is important. Every part of your diet is important. So when people say, well, which vitamin is important for my immune system? All of them. Let me give you some blatant examples. Vitamin D. It's actually not even a vitamin because it's more of a hormone. It's been called a vitamin for decades. In fact, we are photosynthetic creatures. Photo means light. Synthesis is to make. And so the literal term photosynthesis refers to a plant generating sugar by the action of sunlight and combining carbon dioxide and water to make sugar, 6-carbon. That's what we typically think of as photosynthesis, but actually it means making something in the sun. And so humans generate vitamin D in our skin whenever we are out in the sun. We are photosynthetic creatures. You don't need to eat vitamin D if you get enough sunlight. And this is where it gets interesting. After decades of misinformation about vitamin D, the early nutrition researchers said that we need about 400 IU of vitamin D a day. Now, new evidence says, no, we need more like 2,000. And if you go to the beach on a summer's day in a bathing suit, your naked skin will make you about 10,000 IU of vitamin D, and then it will shut off its mechanism saying, that's done. I don't need any more. Thank you. And so vitamin D is it regulates 20% of the human genome, and it's a very important part of the immune system. What we find is that people who are low in vitamin D are much more likely to get an infection or cancer or depression or diabetes or even heart disease or obesity because it is such a crucial vitamin. We could spend the next couple of hours just talking about D, but I'm going to talk about a few more things. Selenium, magnesium, chromium, vitamin E, protein, fiber. Now you say, well, what does fiber have to do with this? You can't even digest or absorb it. True. 70% of our immune system surrounds our gut. And so in the gut, what we have is all of this GALT, or gut-associated lymphoid tissue, in which what we have is, how do we have 100 trillion microbes in our gut and they don't kill us? And the answer is because we have this symbiotic. Symbiosis means the two living together in harmony. Commensal means sitting down at the dinner table in a friendly manner. So these 100 trillion cells in our gut sit down at the dinner table with us. We eat a diet that's rich in fiber, and that fiber we cannot digest, but our little organisms can. And they say, thank you for this. And then from that, they make all sorts of very useful products, such as biotin, vitamin K. They also make very essential postbiotic things, such as butyrate. And what these substances do is regulate the immune system. In 2005, the federal government completed its human microbiome project. So the gut is called the microbiome, and it was astonishing what they found. These 100 trillion cells play a central role in your immune system. So I just said there's 50 essential nutrients in the human diet. Actually, if we wanted to be honest, there's a couple thousand. because there's various bioflavonoids and carotenoids and indole 3 carbinol and glycosaminoglycan and DHA and EPA and other things we could talk about that are not considered essential yet, but probably are. Anyway, back to fiber and the gut and your microbes. Keeping a healthy immune system means keeping your gut happy. That means plenty of fiber in the diet. That means avoiding unnecessary antibiotics. There was a medical doctor, Orion Truss, who in the 1960s, in his practice in Alabama, noticed that a lot more people were presenting with autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma, lupus erythematosus, multiple sclerosis, ankylosing spondylitis. There's now over 100 different autoimmune diseases, and 50 million Americans suffer from them. And this Dr. Truss in the 1960s noticed this dramatic increase in autoimmune diseases with the overly enthusiastic use of antibiotics. Anti means against, biotic means life. Antibiotics are extremely toxic to bacteria. They kill the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything. It's like a carpet bombing of the gut. And so what's left is the fungus. Now you have a candida overgrowth, and that's what causes many autoimmune diseases. It also causes a suppression of the immune system, and that's why many people end up dying of infections. So we're back to the whole coronavirus, and what I'd like to mention is in my book, 12 Keys to a Healthier Cancer Patient, I talk about the main 6 vectors, and these are the vectors that drive your health. Number 1 is attitude. We're going to come back to that, Paula. Attitude. Number 2 is nutrition. Number 3 is exercise. Number 4 is the gut, the microbiome. Number 5 is detoxification. And number 6 is energy alignment. And we could spend a weekend seminar in any one of those, but we're going to get through each of them quickly so that our viewers have a good grasp of how to defend yourself. And again, I want to bring up, in America, we've had 22 deaths from the coronavirus. A weekend in Chicago has that many shootings. So let's keep things in perspective. But back to those 6 vectors, let me go back to them. Number 1 is attitude. What you are eating may not be as important as what's eating you. Attitude is crucial. Thousands of years ago, religious leaders, philosophers, mystics all noted the link between the mind and physical health. In scripture, in Proverbs, it says, "A merry heart does good, but a broken spirit dries up the bones." And what we find now is that depression can cause osteoporosis or a drying up of the bones. We find all sorts of links between mind and body, but I'll try and cut it short. Deepak Chopra is a medical doctor, brilliant man, has written 40 books that have been on the several New York Times bestsellers, extremely articulate, MD, then he went back and studied Ayurvedic medicine in his native India. Then he studied quantum physics. And if you combine these sciences together, what he came up with is a very important soundbite. Every cell in your body is eavesdropping on your thoughts. Again, every cell in your body is eavesdropping on your thoughts. So stress or worrying can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The people who are out there hand-wringing saying, "Oh my goodness, the coronavirus, it's going to kill us all." No, it won't. But it might kill you if you worry enough. And let me explain the scientific link between the mind and the immune system. Dr. Hans Selye was an MD who in the 1940s said, "I think there's a link between stress and the body, but I can't prove it." So he tied animals to a table. He took rats and he basically took away their freedom. He tied them to a table. And 24 hours later, he sacrificed them. He autopsied them, and what he found was that they had a shrinkage of their thymus gland, which is the master gland of immunity. They had the beginnings of cancer and infections. They also had elevated cholesterol in the bloodstream, the beginnings of heart disease. Stress did that. They also had atrophy or an erosion of the gastric mucosa, the stomach lining. They had the beginnings of ulcers. And what he found also was they had a atrophy of the adrenal glands. Literally, stress was burning them out. And so 1,700 scientific studies later, Dr. Selye was nominated for the Nobel Prize several times, and he became an armchair philosopher. And what he said was powerful stuff. In his book, The Stress of Life, he talked about stress in a couple of very powerful sound bites. Stress is like a violin string. If you tune that violin string just the right tension, it has beautiful music. If you over tighten it, you break the string, or you tune it so that it no longer is in tune. If you tune it way down, there's no more music in it. And so what we find is we need a reason to get up, something to do, someone to love, or something to look forward to. Great. That gives us some stress, but it's called eustress, EU stress. It's a good thing. Distress means that you're hand-wringing, you're worried, you're fearful, you're depressed, you have no one to love, nothing to look forward, nothing to do, and also an angst over the coronavirus. So since then, we've had thousands of brilliant scientists who have proven the point. And what we have is there's about 400 chemicals made by the brain. These are called neuropeptides that are generated by your thoughts. And of the 37 trillion cells in the body, most of them have a landing strip for each of those 400 neuropeptides. And that's where Dr. Chopra, Dr. Deepak Chopra comes up with the soundbite, every cell in your body is eavesdropping on your thoughts. And this is where you have to come up with a sense of purpose, love, forgiveness, meditation. This is where you have to relax and meditate on a daily basis. Calm down. Bobby McFerrin said it best in his Grammy Award-winning song, "Don't worry, be happy." I'll toss the ball back to you, Paula.
I love that. I love that. We have about 2 minutes left in the show. This has been fantastic. What last words do you want to share with us? I mean, this is profound, and I love, the point of our thoughts controlling our stress and our worry and giving ourselves the nutrition, boosting our immune system. All of that is so great. What last points do you want to leave us with today, Patrick?
Well, I'm hoping that our viewers would have a look at my book, 12 Keys to a Healthier Cancer Patient, because in it, it contains these elements I'm talking about. So I'm going to give you the very quick soundbite. Food. Eat foods in as close to their natural state as possible. Eat a plant-based diet. That means fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, seaweed, mushrooms, medicinal herbs, some animal food, wild-caught rabbit, deer, free-range beef, wild-caught fish, salmon. That's your diet. Move on. Exercise 30 minutes a day. Relieves stress, detoxifies. It helps fine-tune your body. Use it or lose it. Number 3, detoxification. Stay away from unnecessary poisons. I'm talking about if you don't recognize it in God's green earth, stay away from it. Things like antibiotics that are unnecessary, Roundup, glyphosate, etc. Let's move on. The microbiome. Keep your gut happy. A daily bowel movement means that your gut is in reasonably good shape. Take some vitamin supplements. The energy alignment is a critical issue. I use a slant board, an incline board, for just about 10 minutes a day, and it does wonders for your spine and your general health. We could go on, but my offering to our viewers is a healthy human body is self-regulating and self-repairing, and we have spent time, and I appreciate you sharing your viewers, Paula. The point is that you're going to die from cancer or heart disease, hopefully when you're 80 or 100. You're not going to die from the coronavirus. Keep your fears in perspective. Take care of your body. Feed it right, and you will live a long and fruitful life.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. This has been fantastic. Everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Love, hugs, and blessings, Patrick. Thank you so much.
Thank you much, Paula.
Bye.
Bye now.